Hey, Exona, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jennifer?
Good. I can't leave my video on because I'm eating cake. And it's really embarrassing.
Okay. How was your homework?
Well, I'll turn my camera on. I just won't eat at the same time.
I wanted to, if you don't mind just showing me how you did yours. Did you submit it already?
I did. Happy to. Let's see.
I just want to make sure that I'm on the correct like wavelength, I guess.
Yeah, same here because I did something really simple and I don't know if
If it's too simple.
right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do you want me to share my screen first and then you can share yours or vice versa?
Yeah, no, go for it because I still have to figure out where my Figma is. Yeah, so I'd love to see it.
Okay. I'm gonna transfer you over to the other screen. Okay, so this is, oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm like trying to do 1,000 things at once. All
Uh,
right, so I'm gonna share a screen. Okay, okay.
there you go. Ooh,
So I don't know if you can see.
wow, I can. That's great.
That's
Okay.
what I have. I just don't know if it's like correct, if that's what he's looking for, or if he wants more of like a simplistic, sorry, where did
Mm,
it go? Okay, yeah. So I don't know if he wants more of like a simplistic look or if this is something along the lines that he wants or if I'm missing something. I know that he said to include the project. Like he gave bulletins about
mhm.
the project, but I don't know how is
I don't
that
know
on?
how.
Is that something to be added on? I just don't know. But this is what I have so far. I was gonna include obviously an image where it says image on there, but I'm just gonna leave it like that for now.
That looks amazing. And it's more than what I did because
Okay.
he said keep it simple. It shouldn't take more than about 25 minutes.
Okay. Because it took me like 3 hours to copy and paste all the
Oh, yeah.
icons. It took me quite a while.
I did more than 25 minutes easily because it took me a while to figure it out before watching the videos.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, hey Elba, how are you?
Hey, good. Are you guys talking about the homework?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the link that you need is from the program itself, from Figma. If you go to Figma and you know where you're making your project, you want to click share. And then
Okay.
you go to that share thing. That's what he was supposed to show us at the end of the class that he didn't get to. Remember that he said that you have to change the settings to whatever it says on that little
Yeah.
screenshot that he sent us. Once you change the settings to that, it will give you a link, and all you have to do is go back to the homework and submit that link.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was able to figure that part out.
Hi, Max. I don't know if I can remove this back.
I wanted to
Sorry, I'm late. The Wi-Fi here is temperamental, so I apologize. I'm tethering through my phone.
Oh, okay. Hey, Max.
What's going
Sorry.
on?
I was just showing them the homework assignment that I was doing, and this is, I don't know if you could see my screen,
Yeah,
but
that's great.
this is what I have so far. I don't know if I'm missing any components because I know that I saw something about the project and you had a couple bulletins. I don't know if it should be included in here or in a separate kind of like page, but I just
Yeah, probably a separate page. The tool in Figma is this one right up here. They call it a frame. And that's kind of how they want you to like set up multiple things. The other thing you can do is right up here, it says page, and you can go into another page as well if you wanted it separated out. But
okay.
usually you want to use this frame one right up here.
Okay.
Only because that's going to kind of set up and divide out the document into like different sections all on the same page.
Okay.
The one thing that you'll probably want to add Sorry, let me turn on Do Not Disturb here. I'm gonna bump your screen share and I'll show you my website.
Okay,
And this, I'm pretty sure I linked in the assignment itself. The thing that you'll want to be looking for is kind of down here. This is the portfolio or the project section. And then if you click on one of these, this takes you to an entirely separate screen that has kind of all of the things that are listed out in those bullets. So you definitely don't need to follow this layout, but hopefully this gives you a better idea of the project section of the homework.
okay.
I took mine very literally, and I thought that it was supposed to be a very simple wireframe. I didn't do this nice design, nor
So
the good
this
stuff.
would be closer to a mock-up than a wireframe, to be fair. So I'm gonna pull up a wireframe example just so you guys have an idea of what, because what you did is more of a mock-up, which is fine, right? A mock-up is the step after a wireframe.
Okay.
And that is, a lot of designers will say, well, this is dumb. I don't want to do a wireframe. I know how to do the design. I'm just going to jump right into that step. And that's okay. That's kind of going above and beyond for this assignment.
Right.
This assignment is less about the colors and more about figuring out like what needs to go onto the page and how we're going to lay it out. So a wireframe will look more like,
I did it on paper. So I just took what I had on paper and I just put it on Figma. Literally, this is what I had.
that is perfect. That's totally the way to go. So
Perfect.
let me see.
Yeah, Schneider.
So this would be closer to a wireframe, right? In terms of, okay, we're figuring out, we're going to put like temperatures down at the bottom, and over here on the left part of the screen, this is kind of the digital version of what we created during class. So this is closer to a wireframe, when something like this would be closer to a mock-up.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I don't think I have any wireframes that I can easily pull up from work. But hopefully that gives you a better idea. But what you did is totally fine. If you want to go just one step further and kind of plan out like, hey, what will, when I do have projects to add, what will that look like on the homepage? And then when they click on one, what will it look like, you know, on that separate project page? And that would be kind of everything that you would need to do.
Gotcha. So do you mind just sending us those two links that you showed us? The project page that you just showed us right now. Do you mind sharing it?
Yeah. So if you go to,
My computer's stuck for some reason because I'm on both screens.
if you go to the week 1 homework and then scroll down to the bottom, here's the portfolio link. And then when you pop that open, that will take you down to this section down here.
Gotcha.
Next flag. That's great.
Okay, perfect. All right.
That will be, we will kick that off, I think, week 3, where we start rebuilding the Netflix site.
So I also had a question about the homework. I know I just sent the wireframe, but I did look at the video, so I wanted to do a step more than that to start actually working with Figma and actually figuring out how to do things. So I wanted you to take a look at it to see if I'm doing it even the right way. I'm not exactly sure if I'm actually using it the right way.
Sure.
So, with my Figma, I believe this is the one that I sent for the homework itself. It's just a regular one. Can you guys see that?
That's good.
Yep.
And then what I did that step from that is I started actually doing the thing itself.
Yeah.
Which this will be the home page. And then if you click on resume, it will kick you to the resume page. And if you click to project, it takes you to the project page. If you click to portfolio, it takes you to the portfolio page. I just wasn't sure what I was supposed to put in the project page and what I'm supposed to put in the portfolio page. But the mockup did do the, I already did the links where I could click on resume and it brings to resume. And
Cool. So now you're getting into that prototyping area, right? Because you can actually scroll up and down and do all of that stuff. So very cool.
And then project, and it takes you to the project page and portfolio. The
Oh my
problem that I'm having mostly is my LinkedIn page. I put in the LinkedIn page thing, so it takes you to LinkedIn, but it doesn't take you to my page exactly because I'm not even hooked up to LinkedIn in this computer.
Mhm.
But when I do the contact form,
Mhm.
every time I do the contact form and I want to make the lines even or the squares even and stuff, and I'm trying to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be, something goes wrong and I have to start all over again because one little thing, it will bring it to the back, and then I can't bring that thing that's in the back to the front, and then they don't want to link up together. And then I had the button in the page and everything because I have my assets to the side of everything that I use, and I
Okay.
had the contact form made, but it kept on messing up. And then I had it perfect, except every time I was putting them to be the exact same pixels in each one of the contact boxes and stuff like that, and then the third one, which is for the comments, went away. And then I couldn't bring that one back up. And then
So one trick I can show you, if I just pop in remote control here for a second, there is, there should be a allow remote control pop-up on your computer. Perfect, thank you. Oh, go ahead and hit open system preferences, click on the lock in the bottom left. Go ahead and type in your password. And then check Zoom. And now I should be good to go to pop in, hopefully, yeah. So one trick I can show you is that on the layers, if I click into here, one trick, sometimes it's hard to like move these up and down. So sometimes it's easier to take this rectangle and like literally just reorder it over here, and that will bring it up higher.
okay.
So sometimes, right, because I'm sure you're used to right clicking and then saying bring to front, send to back, whatever. Sometimes it's easier to like find it over here and then rearrange it from there.
Okay.
You're definitely on the right track. Everything looks great here. The next steps for you would be figuring out like, okay, when they click on portfolio, what do I want that page to look like? Because you don't, like on my site, I've got the 3 projects in that section. And then if they click on any one of them, it goes to like the project details page, right? But what you'll probably want to do is, because yours just says portfolio, you'll probably want an entirely separate page that kind of lists out all of the projects, and then have another page that when they click on the project, they can get more details about it.
Okay. So that's the thing that like with the portfolio is something that I'm gonna have to add onto as the program goes by, because I haven't made any projects outside of this class. So my first project that I could actually screenshot is when I finish this page, or when I finish this.
And that's totally fine. And we'll update the portfolio as it goes, because we revisit it often and kind of start rebuilding it as we learn more technologies. But for now, kind of come up with like a dummy project, right? There is text called lorem ipsum, and it's known for being like just placeholder text. So you could just come up with a project idea of like portfolio website, right? And then just come up with, even if you don't know what the tech stack is or what the links for it are, kind of just start laying that out just to have some text on the page will give you a good idea of how to get the requirements onto that page.
So what I was thinking was screenshotting the page where it has all of the different pages for the project.
Yep.
When you do the prototype where it shows all of the lines of how the diagram would go.
Perfect. Yep.
And put it in there, like the screenshots themselves. So later on, I could actually work. Because if you click prototype, you can see all the layout and the lines on how it moves around.
Yep.
So a screenshot of this page and a screenshot of the previous page, and then just put them in that page for now until I figure out, but then I would have to figure out the tech information and everything that I have to actually add to it.
Yeah, so remember the wireframe is less about the content and more about the layout of the content, right? And some of that's chicken and egg, right? Of, well, you can't lay things out unless you know what the content is.
Yeah.
But it's more about making sure you get the headers on the page and you have thought through, like, do I want this to be one big column? Do I want the text, you know, in the different sections to be bold or underline, or, you know, with the mockup, you can start playing around with the colors a little bit and say, oh, this is, you know, white text on a yellow background, that's hard to read. Or so it's less about, hey, I need to have the exact verbiage right, and more about, in general, how is this going to show up? And if you really get stuck on that and you're like, I really need the content in order to get the layout done right, you can always just go on my website and literally just copy and paste one of the projects and use that instead.
Okay. So I could probably do just like a regular frame from here too, and then just post like a blank frame just so I could have an idea of what.
You got it. Yep.
I'm gonna stop share because I'm pretty sure somebody else wants to.
No, awesome work. This is definitely a step above and beyond and into that mock-up land. And as you can see, we've only seen two of your submissions and 2 students, and the mock-ups that we get are always very different, right? And that's okay. Everyone has a different layout and a different design. This is kind of just getting you thinking about, hey, you're in a coding boot camp, but there is a step before the code, and that design shouldn't be underestimated.
Okay. Could I share mine?
Sure.
Okay. So mine is super simple, you guys. I didn't know how literal I needed to take it. So when I saw the portfolio and what you wanted us to do, that's what I did. I thought about trying to go a little further and play with font and location, but I still thought I had to do something very specific. So
yeah,
this,
so what I would push you on a little bit is, if you take yourself out of the picture for a moment, if you were an employer who landed on this website, what would you think? That's kind of what you want to bring into the wireframe design, right? So, you know, if I loaded this page and it just said about, I'd be like, what's the about? Am I supposed to click that? Is there some text that's supposed to go underneath it? You know, what is the about? Same for resume, right? Okay, is resume a link? If it is a link, is it underlined? Is it bolded? Is it so that's kind of what you want to focus on, is getting a little bit more of that, the real content that's going to go into your site.
So quick question. So
Mhm.
once I am done with this, homework,
Mhm.
how I know that you gave directions, sorry, because my computer is like being super annoying right now.
So
How would you like us to submit this to you?
there is a share button on the top right that's blue. When you click on that share button, you can change the sharing permissions to anyone with the link.
Okay,
And then you can just copy that link and submit it into Canvas. Or if you did things on paper, you're welcome to just take a picture of it and send that in as well.
okay, so I'm gonna share this with you. And let me know. I mean, something happened and I deleted something, but I'm just gonna share this with you just so you can see if you get it.
Sure. And I know I have a couple students' questions that I've got to get back to in Slack. So I will be responding to you guys individually over there.
Can you, when I share it with you, can you see my my modifications that I make?
Yes. So once you submit it,
Mhm.
even though you can continue to make edits,
Mhm.
and you'll actually even be able to see me like in the file moving my mouse around as well.
Okay.
But did you submit it through Canvas or are you still doing that?
I just shared the button with you. So I'm still working on it. I'm not done. Because I'm gonna do that portfolio section of it or the project section.
Oh, you shared it with me directly through Figma.
Yes.
Sorry,
Is that
my
sorry?
bad. I'm like, where are you saying you shared it?
Yeah, I'm on
Uh,
Figma, so I just press the share button and it's sent straight to you.
Okay. I'm sure I can pull that up. Email? Team project. It might be better just to Slack me the link because even though you added me to it, I can't see it anywhere.
Okay, that's totally fine. I'll do that.
Oh, you know what? It is in my email. Here we go. Maybe I just have to. Yeah, I do have it.
Okay.
Did you have any questions on it?
No, I'm just going to make the project or portfolio section.
Cool.
And then once I'm done, do you want me to just send you an email on Slack, a message on Slack letting you know that it's done? Or do I have to resubmit it to you again?
You want to submit it in Canvas.
Okay, in Canvas. Okay.
Yeah. That's because that's where we'll be doing all of your grading and feedback and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So submitting it through Canvas is definitely where you'll want to be.
Gotcha.
And Canvas is really annoying too. When you have past due assignments, they're really good at like guilting you into turning them in. And so you'll want the gratification of being like, no, I've done that homework.
No,
Like,
I know I did
in.
it, right. Okay, all right, I'll do that.
Perfect. Jennifer, go ahead.
Okay. First, I'm so sorry. I'm on break
Oh, you're fine.
and breaks don't really go uninterrupted. So I need to make it a little more elaborate. I need to make it as if somebody else is viewing it. Okay. Do I need specific boxes? Do I need different text? Do I need to get rid of the grid lines? Any of that?
So think about this as if you were hiring someone to build your website for you, and you wanted to just hand this to them and say, this is the website that I would like, that's what you want your wireframe to be, right? Now, the design aspect of it is what goes into mock-up territory and is optional for the homework. But, and this is very, very often the case, when you are doing contract work and someone's like, I'd love to hire you to build my website. And you're like, great, I'm happy to build the website. What would you like on the website? And they go, oh, I just want a website. And you're like, but in order to build a website, we need content to put on it, right? And so that's what you want to think through from your wireframe of, if I pass this off to someone else to build it, and they came back to me a month later and said, okay, here's your website, I made it look exactly like this wireframe. Would you be happy with that website, knowing that that was now going to be your personal website? So that's what you want to shoot for, is like, about, okay, is about a link, or does about have a paragraph underneath it? And if it has a paragraph underneath it, maybe I don't need the actual final paragraph text, but maybe I just copy and paste a paragraph of random text in there, just so I've got an idea of how that layout is going to go.
Okay, so I want some content.
Yes, you want some content. It doesn't need to be the exact final content, but it's good to say, okay, is this content literally a word? Is it a sentence, or is it a couple sentences, right? Because all of that's going to impact what my final layout looks like. And so that gets you into a better idea of, okay, is this, do I want links down the left side of the page? And then do I want my content in the center? Do I want, right? Because as you start going, you're going to be like, well, I'm going to have multiple projects on my portfolio. So how do multiple projects end up showing up on my wireframe? So those are the things that you'll want to think through.
Okay, so I could work on this and resubmit it tonight.
Yep. And if it is, because the Figma link won't change, you won't even need to resubmit it, because when I check the Figma link, it will be exactly the same, and I'll just grade whatever is there at the time. So you don't even have to worry about resubmitting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Christina, go ahead.
I just joined. Are we going over like homework?
It's up to you. If you have questions about homework, you are more than welcome to ask them. If you feel like you would like a review of your homework, I can do that now.
I would.
Sure,
Yeah,
go for
I
it.
want to know if I'm on the right page.
Sure. Go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, how do I get to it?
So in Zoom, there's the green share screen button down at the bottom.
Okay. Now I gotta pull my homework up.
Yep.
Well, and it is where?
So this is the car file. Do you have a separate file for your wireframe?
I do. How do,
If you just go to figma.com and take out this /file and that ID up at the top.
okay.
Okay, so I have the same advice that I had for another student. If you went on this as a website, if you were an employer looking to hire you and you just landed on this website, what would you think of it?
Minimal.
Minimal, and just want a little bit more design into it, right? So this to me looks like a Google Doc or a Word document, right? This doesn't look like a website. So think
Okay.
through, you don't necessarily have to do all of the design aspects of coloring and buttons and stuff like that, but you do want to think through, how do I get this to feel more like a website and less like a Word doc? And a lot of that is going to be your layout of it. So that's what you're going to want to focus on improving a little bit in this wireframe is, could I lay this out in a way that felt more like a website?
Okay. All right.
Right? Because you've got all of the content going on here, right? But for example, you've got like link to blog and the Medium link there. But what I would like to show up is maybe I've got my 3 most recent blog posts that show up on my screen. And maybe it has a picture from the blog post and then the title of the blog post and then a button to go access that link. And so maybe I lay that out in a way that I can have 3 columns worth of my blog posts and have things show up that way.
Okay.
So you're on the right track because you've got all of the content here, but you want to think about, how do I lay this out in a way that feels more like a website?
Okay. I can work on that.
But you're definitely on the right track, because now that you've got everything in Figma, now you get a better idea. But it may be helpful to start with the frame tool, which is this one up here, because when you click on that, you'll be able to draw a rectangle, right? And that rectangle really is what gets you starting to think about, here's my white rectangle, here's my starting point, right? How do I arrange things in this rectangle in order to feel like a website? And from there, you should be able to get going.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds simple enough.
It's
Thank you.
very simple in theory, very hard to do in practice. And I don't want to underestimate that. Like, laying things out is hard. But it gives you a better idea of, okay, am I more interested in the layout and design and the tool side of it, or am I more interested in the coding side of it, right? And obviously we haven't even gotten started on the coding side of it. But if you want to look at the portfolio.
I know how to do the layout and design because I did that on my website.
Mhm.
I just don't know the coding part of it. So I
Sure.
can do the layout. That's simple enough for me.
Cool, awesome. Yep, and
All right.
that's what you'll want to work on a little bit more on this.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Schneider.
This is something you've already seen. I'm just reusing it because technically can you hear me?
You're good.
Okay. I'm just reusing because I was in a class that never got graded. So I just I got transfer it into like the Figma stuff. So that's a little learning curve for me at the moment. Screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So over here is the wireframe, if you remember. Over here is the mockup. Like I said, I just got transferred over to Figma. That's a little learning curve because I don't really know how to use that thing too well right now. I don't know if you can tell, but like the About Me, Resume, Blog, all those would be the clickable links.
Yep.
The projects, they have nothing. Oh yeah, and whatchamacallit? Those links down here as well, clickable. Over here, the projects, they have nothing in them at the moment, but I don't know how I'm gonna express that yet, honestly. I don't know if I'm gonna make it a clickable thing or if I'm just gonna place the projects in there. I could use some feedback on that.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that I see missing from this is thinking through the actual projects, right? So what is probably going to be helpful is kind of just going after one project and like actually loading it up, right? Because what I think you're going to find is that there's so much content about each project that it's going to be too hard to fit it all into one screen. And that's often when you go, okay, I want this to be a separate page, because you end up having so much content, you don't want to shove it all into one tiny little section. Instead, it makes sense to kind of be its own. So what you could do to get started to test that theory is start actually loading up a project's information, right? So do your portfolio site and then be like, okay, we're going to build that in HTML and CSS. And, what was the objective of building the site? Okay, what is, remaining? Oh, I need links to the actual site. Okay, I need a screenshot in there, right? All of that starts to add up and becomes really hard to fit all into one little square. And that's often when you go, okay, I want this to be another page. And then you can kind of start copying and pasting the information over to a second page.
Okay, I understood the words, but I'm more of a visual learner, so I had to like look up some examples of that. So like you're saying, make it a clickable link type of deal.
Yeah, so imagine if you clicked on one and it loaded up another page all about that project.
Right. So
again, a good example of that is the portfolio URL that I linked to in the assignment. So on this, I've got my 3 projects down here at the bottom. And then when you click on any one of them, it brings you into more details about that project.
Okay. Yep, that 100%.
So this is kind of like a little preview, and then, this brings you to another page with additional details. Now you could make an argument of, oh, I don't want another page. I want all the information just in that one section, which is okay, but something that you'll want to factor in.
To save myself a headache, I'm just making a simple link to another page. Thank you for the feedback.
Cool. No problem. Yeah, it's looking really good. You've got everything down except that project's the project's part of it. And to be fair, that's the hardest part to implement into your wireframe.
Gotcha.
So if we,
all right, well, I'll work on that.
If we haven't worked on a
Go ahead.
project, what do we put? Like if
Yeah, you can either put this portfolio site because you've started there, or you can just steal any of the projects that are on that example page and just literally copy and paste exactly what I have in there.
Okay, because I might have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can think about that, or you could do like yeah, the easiest thing will be to just go to that portfolio link and look at one of those projects and copy and paste it, even if that content might not make sense to you, because it's like CSS, we haven't even learned CSS, we haven't written any HTML, like
Right.
that will still give you a good starting point of what our projects will be in the long run.
For the portfolio, right?
For the portfolio, yeah. And obviously you'll want to go back when we actually complete a project and update the portfolio and put all that information in. But you will feel the project-based curriculum start to turn on Monday. Because we literally do like a little intro ugly website where we write our first code and we have things change. And then from there we go, all right, we're going to build stuff now. And that's the only website that we build where we're like in a little sandbox and playing around. And from there, everything is, here's the mockup, here's the end result, here's what we want to build, go build off that mockup. And so we do Syracuse.com, and then we'll go into Netflix, and then we do a couple different sites there. But very little of our coding in class is like, here's this little tiny thing to build. It's like, hey, here's a 3-day project and we're going to go rebuild this entire website. And that's where we make sure, you know, the concepts are sinking in addition to what we're actually building.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not scared. That's okay. I'm not scared.
Schneider, go ahead.
Are we gonna ever finish the car play thing?
Yeah, so we're going to spend 30 minutes at the beginning of class, just giving everyone an opportunity to circle up and finish on that. And then we'll go around and have each one of the groups present. And then we'll dive into Intro to HTML starting on Monday.
Also, I just wanted to say, Alba, I did finish the car thing myself on my part. And I don't know about Valencine. I don't know her name. I can't pronounce her name to save my life.
I actually went in there and I did put some of the little
I did see at the top.
for the card stuff and all of that for you guys to use, because I did my part, and I know she was gonna be doing one of the parts for the heating seats. I did it because I wasn't sure if she was gonna be able to get to it, so I did the seat part. So she just
Okay.
and
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to assign that as homework because we're trying to be better this cohort of not having homework every single class and just making it limited, trying to respect your hours there. But that project is like a great way to take a project and actually say, like, this is a very tangible thing, right? We started with this, like, we just have a touchscreen in a car, and now look where we're at 2 or 3 days into the project of actually like being able to visualize that car, right? And so the goal is to take that and apply that to your website and say, if I saw this wireframe actually loaded up, would I understand, you know, what I needed to build or what the end result would be? So that we'll finish that project up on Monday and give everyone a chance to kind of share what they've built, because it's always cool seeing the different seeing all the different ideas of what people have used. And that video of what that actually looks like in practice in an actual car.
Okay. Interesting.
So
yeah, it's interesting because
Thanks for joining.
thank you so much.
it's interesting right now because we always are used to working separately instead of working in a team and in a group. So getting back into that group feeling of getting in touch, of like following up, you know, were you able to get to this, or were you able to finish this? So if they didn't, to be able to actually get it done or help them with the process or whatever. It's just I don't remember names easily, so it's really hard to get in touch with people afterwards because it takes me a while to remember people's names.
And I will say Zoom will definitely help with that, because everyone's names are on their windows. So like, I didn't even invest into learning all of your names this week in class, because like I will have them all memorized at the end of next week, because we're all going to be on Zoom, right? Like, it sounds terrible, but we'll also be sending around 2 forms, one which is about like preferences for in-class or common space membership or office hours in person, kind of just getting a metric of where you guys are at on that. And then the other one will be like name pronunciation and like, you know, not only what's your legal name, but what do you prefer to be called? Do you have any different pronouns, stuff like that. And so we'll share the output of that with everyone, so everyone has a name pronunciation. It's so funny having people, like, when you ask them to spell their name phonetically and they're like, I don't know, my name is Max, it looks exactly like it is. And it's like, okay, well then you don't really need to spend the time on the phonetic name pronunciation. But there are also students who are like, oh my God, I'm so glad that you're asking how to properly say my name. Because we had a student last cohort on class number 92 of 94 told me that not only me, but every other student was pronouncing her name wrong. And I was like, really? Like 5 months and 3 weeks into this, and you're gonna tell me now? Like, so anyway, we will make sure that we share that out, the results with everyone. So you'll definitely get to know everyone, even with the virtual aspect of it. There's no way to not mesh with each other. So we don't do a ton of group projects, and that's something that I may play with this cohort and try and find more group projects to do, because when you're working in a company, you're going to be in an engineering team, and there are going to be other engineers with you. So that is good practice. But at the same time, you could also come out of this and go start your own company and work for yourself for the next 30 years and never work with someone else. So more often than not, as an engineer, you will be working in a team, but it's very hard to emulate that in the classroom environment, while still making sure that each individual is understanding and doing all of that kind of stuff. So
Actually help with the work that Laura's trying to do also with networking and actually communicate with other people, or communicating properly with other people,
Right.
and be able to talk to other people. A lot of, like me, I haven't worked since January because I left my job. I've been doing nothing but courses and learning and stuff like that, but I've been doing it online by myself. So I'm not used to being a lot with a lot of people or working with a lot of people, so it's going to be a little bit different.
well, we will dump you into the deep end. I think 2 Tuesdays from now, I just made a note for myself to contact the organizer. We'll be attending Open Hack. And Open Hack is, if you have social anxiety, you will be very anxious that day, and that is okay. That is why we skip class for a day. And
Oh, boy.
it is okay. The other thing to keep in mind is you will have 18-ish fellow students there. And so when you get that social anxiety, you can all kind of cluster and be in a pod together, and lean on each other. But it is a zero expectation social meetup, where it is literally just like-minded developers of all different skill levels, right? So it's not just a bunch of intimidating senior devs there. There are a lot of people there who will just get started in their coding degree, or are attending college and getting their coding experience, or you've got people from all over the place. So you'll have some people in IT there. You'll have some people who focus on hardware. You'll have a couple fellow graduates of the Careers in Code program. Like, it is really a mixed bag. But what it really is someone who just is there to socialize and hang out, right? And be among their fellow nerds. And so there is no expectation. Some people show up and work on a project, but there are so many nights where, I know Open Hack is coming up, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to leave my house. Like, I've already worked all day. Like, do I really want to go socialize? And every time that I push myself and actually go, I'm reminded of how important it is to not be in a bubble and get out of your own headspace and see what other people are doing, and getting the practice being able to articulate what you're learning and how far you are in your journey, and learning about what other people are using, and why they're in the community. And there's just so much value to it, that it's tough for me to give up a class and be like, ooh, I've got to now crunch even more curriculum into that short time period. But it's so important to be able to socialize with fellow developers, that's why we push people to attend.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's also, social gatherings I see as a way of networking.
Yeah.
Huge networking, huge.
Yeah.
So the more people that you know, the more people that you talk to, the more connections that you build, and the better off maybe in the future, if you do have your own business, your business will be, because you have those connections. you built
There's
that
some
relationship.
crazy number, like 70% of all job placements
Connection.
come through word of mouth. Yeah.
Mhm. All of my jobs have been through connections, every single
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And even more important as an entrepreneur trying to get your business started, there's actually a professional networking event that I know Karen shared, and I know people who have attended them, and like they're like, I can't attend another one of these for 6 months because I now have so much business that like I can't take on anything more. And it's that whole kind of that, I mean, that's one reason why I'm in the Syracuse area and actually moved back to the area, was that like the community is just the right size, right? It's not so big that it's New York City and you don't know anyone around you, and but it's also not small, you know, too small to the point of not having enough business, or not having a big enough network, or in my opinion, in that sweet spot. And that's why we push you guys to get out there for those kinds of networking events.
Good.
This is not this is more of like a hangout than a networking event in particular. Obviously, there's a lot of networking that happens while you're there. But that is also one nice thing, is sometimes you show up to like the networking events and it's like speed dating, right? And they're very structured, and you know, you've got your priority list, and you have to talk to these people. And Open Hack is not like that at all. Obviously, a lot of networking benefits that you can get out of it, but it is meant to be more of, hey, let's get a bunch of technical people in a room together and just, you know, let them hang out for a couple hours.
Cool.
I finished all the career modules, and
Wow.
I'll tell you, yeah, I did it all yesterday. But I'll tell you one thing, by the end of it, I had so much anxiety. I was like, thank goodness her voice was soft and calm and very tranquil, because the further I got, the more anxiety I got. I'm like, oh my God, this is not just about coding. What did I sign up for? This is about literally getting outside my comfort zone, and having to talk to people, because like these 4 walls have been it. And then literally I signed up for college this year, and I haven't been to school since my last like graduating class, because I grew up in the system in foster care, was 5th grade. So in the system, it's not mandatory in the system. And then I went and got my GED when my dad died. That was his dying wish. So this is all new to me. The whole being on school, being in a group, having to talk. You know, I've been around my daughter talking about Elmo for the last 20 years. I don't even know what an adult conversation consists of half the time.
So one, we'll
It's very
dump you.
nerve-wracking.
We'll dump you in the deep end, but also have a lifeguard nearby for Open Hack, right? Where the only way to get better at networking and having those conversations is practicing them, right? And even if you show up to Open Hack, have one conversation, and then go, okay, this is too much for me. I can't take any more of this and need to go home. That's okay, right? There are, I mean this as a compliment, the only people that attend Open Hack are a bunch of nerds, right? And there are a bunch of people who have social anxiety at all different skill levels, and they're still pushing their boundaries to be there.
Yeah, definitely socially awkward and a nerd. My husband he's like, oh, I forgot they don't have that on Planet Aquarius. Like, I'm just always like, huh?
There's a it took me a while to learn this, that being able to be social in that kind of environment is a skill. And what I mean by that is a skill means it is not a talent. It means it's something that you practice and you build your way up to, and you get better at doing. And I was never told that. And just based off of the way that I was raised and the social events that I was at, that was a skill that I didn't know I was developing until I dated someone who did not have the skill and called me out on the skill that I had. And that's when I finally realized that, oh, this is something that you get better at practicing. This is not something that you were just born with. Yeah, some people, have personalities that are more in tune to that, but it is something that you can get better at, but you can only get better at by practicing with other people. And so that's one thing to do. The other thing I will say is, if you liked Laura's career modules, Laura is exactly like that during one-on-ones, right? So if you want to reach out to Laura and say, hey, Laura, can we set up a one-on-one every 3 weeks just to check in on my progress? I already powered through all the career modules, but I want to make sure that I'm staying on track. Can we meet every 3 weeks and just touch base? Right. And she'll probably say, yeah, just grab a time on my Calendly. And I know there was a big rush on her Calendly at the beginning of the program, but that will open up, as we get underway. And that will be a great way to just have someone hold and say, okay, we laid out all of these things in the career map. Let's sit down and come up with your to-do list, right? Okay, I need a resume. And yes, I know my resume is going to be lightweight, but let me come up with a draft and say in 3 weeks from now, I want to meet with Laura and work on my resume and review that. Okay, now I need practice writing a cover letter. Now I need, right? Lean on Laura to hold you accountable and say, all right, we're coming into this meeting. I'm going to identify the action items that I'm done in the next 3 weeks or month or whatever you decide. And then in 3 or 4 months or 3 or 4 weeks from now, I'm gonna go back into my meeting with Laura and say, this is what I said I was going to get done. This is what I actually got done. This is what I need help with, right? Because loading all of that up into the beginning of the program is great to give you the perspective of all of the stuff that it's going to that you're going to need to do. But it's important to not front load all of that and then get to the end of the program and be like, whoa, I forgot about all that career stuff that I watched at the beginning, right? So coming up with your own personalized plan is going to be really helpful. And then talk with your fellow students on that, right? Because there's going to be another student who also has a very light resume or has never built a resume and is going to need that help. And maybe you work together and maybe you say, all right, let's just, this Zoom classroom link, you guys can use at any time. So if you say, oh, I found another student and I want to work with them on my resume, and you say, let's meet virtually at 3 o'clock on Thursday or whatever time you want, right? You can jump in this link, and as long as no one else is using it, you can use Zoom and collaborate and work on that kind of stuff together. So I would say, it's great that you got through all those modules. Just work on, what does my personalized action plan look like? And then what system works best for me? Is it a notebook that I just jot down what I'm working on every day? Is it actually trying to use Trello and setting up due dates and putting in comments and descriptions? Is it buying a whiteboard and putting that on a wall and saying, this is going to be, this is how I'm going to survive careers in code, is whenever anything pops up, I'm going to run over to the whiteboard and jot it down. I know a company.
I already ordered, it's a self-adhesive whiteboard, and I got it
Perfect.
a whole side of my wall and
Perfect.
like 5 different colored sticky notes.
I was
took
just going to mention sticky notes. There was a
I took
company
a lot
that,
of notes. It was very, very informative.
good.
Believe me, you're not the only one that has social awkwardness or is gonna have issues with networking and actually speaking with people. I do very well at it, but it's very nerve-wracking and very not my strategy of doing things. I like to work by myself most of the time, so it's kind of different. But a lot of people have those same issues, even the people that actually come through as knowing all the information and actually coming out as they're really friendly and everything, but they do have that social awkwardness too. And it does happen even without it showing. So it's gonna be the same way for a lot of people. I did start doing the modules too, but I got to module 4. I've been sending information to Laura as I go, as I watch the modules. That way I could stay on track as the modules go, and sending her the resume and the cover letter and the mock-up cover letter and the other information that she's asking for in the videos. But I'm trying to stay on track with that and not go too fast, because there's not a lot of social networking events that are happening right now or that are going on right now that she's giving information and tips about in the
Mhm.
so we might have to watch them again when a social networking event happens or something like that, just to
Lay down.
refresh the notes and refresh the information in it. I also did the discussions in the actual video, because she put down to take the test to see that they took the test, but she also has a discussion in it and actually put the notes of what I remembered about the video. And it also has a little information about one of the questions is, in your insights or in your previous job, do you know of anything that could help your coworkers, or any little experience that you want to actually put out there and stuff like that. So I did the discussions too, just because you could always go back and take a look at it and read it even yourself, so you could refresh your memory.
That's a good point.
And Canvas is not something at the end of the class that you'll get locked out of. So you can always go back through and get access to the modules and the discussions and all of that kind of stuff as well. We are at 6 o'clock, but normally with office hours, I stick around in case there are any other additional questions. But this is like spot on. This is great first office hours of people just showing up with questions and listening into the conversation. And we normally get 5-ish students. With them, we picked this time because this was the best time for the physical venue. But if we go to putting them on fully virtual, I can offer a couple different time slots, and then we normally just do democracy on that. So like Friday at 6 o'clock, or Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday evening kind of thing. But we'll see what the response is. If most people want to just tune in virtually, which I totally get, we'll be able to open up the time slot options for this as well. Any final questions?
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you virtually tomorrow, 5:30.
Max, I will be sending this to you.
Cool.
Sorry, I'm trying to. You're not showing up anymore. But I just added a screenshot of yours, pretty much.
Okay.
Your portfolio, just so that I can have it and I know
Sure.
like what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna submit. Copy link. Okay, I'm gonna submit it right now on Canvas.
Cool.
Sorry. Please let me know if you get it. Just so. Oh shoot. Here we go. Homework. Week 1. Wireframe. I was gonna name it wireframe. Okay. Hopefully that works. Congratulations. Assignment successfully submitted.
Well, it went from 3 to 4. Yep, I got you.
Okay, perfect.
Let me just make sure I can open it. Yep, I'm in.
Perfect. That looks good so far.
Yes, very good.
All right, so I'm gonna go do the modules for Lauren, and the quizzes you said are gonna be submitted tomorrow. We should know the grade tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Is there anything else that I should be doing to kind of prepare myself for the class tomorrow? Because I am I have a
Um,
very, very busy work week this week with the
Gotcha.
rollout of, I'm trying not to like psych myself out, but like we have a new program in the district where we're literally